Thank you, Mark and Natalie. And I'm going to just start um, mindful of all the names in the chat and all the people we are holding in our heart with a prayer for healing, the words of which come, of course, from our Parsha this week. Hilna Rifana La Hilna Rifana La Hilna Rifana La Rifua Shelema Hilna Rifana La Hilna Rifana La Hilna Rifana La Rifua Shelema. Refuah Shlema, Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf. May there be healing of body and healing of spirit. In some ways, I love these words for this chant of healing because, unlike other words in the Torah, they're just so frank and earnest in rising up out of need. Parshat Balotecha, where we find ourselves now this week, has so many beautiful things in it. And where I'm feeling engaged by the Parsha this week is by the image of clouds that come inside of it. Clouds are a part of this Parsha, which I'm going to go into in just a moment. But I want to say that where we are in Parshat Balotecha, now 3 Parshiot into Sefer Bamidbar, into the book of Numbers, or the book of wilderness, the book of journeying might even be more apt. In this book and in this Parsha, we're talking about how we get now from Sinai to our next place of purpose and mission, which will be, the land of Israel. But we're not there yet. And how are we going to move there? How are we going to move there bringing Sinai with us as we walk? And so many of you have the source sheet. I'm not going to read the whole selection from Numbers 9:15 through 23, but there's a beautiful long piece about the fact that on the day that the tabernacle was set up, the cloud Anan, He'anan, covered the tabernacle, covered the Mishkan. And we find out it was always so. The cloud always covered it, and it was always a cloud, but at night it looked like fire. And whenever the cloud lifted from the tent, the Israelites would set out, and at the spot where the cloud settled, there the Israelites would make camp. At a command of the one, Israelites broke camp, and at a command of the one, they made camp. They remained encamped as long as the cloud stayed over the Mishkan. And when the cloud lingered for a long time, they didn't move. But when it was only there for a few days and then it moved, they moved on. Day or night, whenever the cloud lifted, they would break camp, whether it was 2 days or a month or a year. However long the cloud lingered over the Mishkan, the tabernacle, the Israelites remained encamped and did not set out. Only when it lifted did they break camp. On a sign from the one, they made camp, and on a sign from the one, they broke camp. That's really the summary. And I find this so moving. Just getting ready to really travel from Sinai, now with their portable Mishkan. How and where are they traveling? What do we need to know about their travel plans? Here, at least in the United States, it's summertime, the end of school. A lot of people are getting their travel plans ready, vacation. What do you actually do and need to do to get ready, to prepare? And how do you envision your journey? For most of us, it's a science of I have to leave at this time to get here at that time, and then I'm going to go here, and I'll stay 3 days here, and then I'm moving on, and then I'm doing this, and these are my plans. Right? Not so. Not so in Parshat Balotecha. The travel plan is this. When the cloud moves, you move. When the cloud stays, you stay. That's the itinerary. When are we going to get there? Nobody knows. It's not in our hands. How long are we going? I have no idea. I'm not choosing that. And what that says to me, what it says to me that this is not based on the route or the timing or the goals, but that the travel is based on the cloud and the fire, is that we as a people after Sinai are learning a different orientation, not to our masters and not even to our human leaders. Our new orientation is learning to move to God's will. And really, what is a cloud? I'm just fascinated by this image. In Rabbi Toba Spitzer's book, God is Here, which explores different metaphors for God, which are non-human, many from the natural world. The cloud is not only a sign from God, it is God's presence itself. It's a name for God. I am speaking to you today from the Bay Area, where in the summertime and often we know from clouds. Our fog even has a name, Carl. And there are many places, maybe you can think of a time that you actually are in the fog, are in the clouds. And what it feels like, what it looks like from afar, but what it actually feels like when you're there. You can't touch it, but you're in it. You can see the clouds from afar, but when you're in them, it's other. It's both real and somehow not real. It's physical and ethereal. And of course, what it actually is a dynamic cycle of moisture, air, and rain, a dynamic, life-giving cycle that models how things can change from gases to liquids, that models for us life-giving dynamism. And of course, rain is one of the signs for the rabbis of God's favor and God's presence. And so, what is the moisture that is not yet transitioned into rain, but is there being? I want to invite us into our practice with the image of a cloud. For you, maybe the cloud is soft and pillowy, like a cushion you might sit on, or the chair that you might be sitting on. Whatever posture you're in, I invite you just to adjust in any way that might help you focus and be present, and ideally comfortable if that's available. You might be sitting on a cushion. You might be sitting on a chair. You might be standing, laying down. Some of you may be driving in a car or on a train. Wherever you are, I invite you to be here in the cloud with us. How funny, right? That our virtual reality, so much of it is in the metaphor now also of a cloud. All that is present in a cloud, and yet light as air. I invite you to notice the sensations of your body just as they are, without needing to change or adjust. In some ways, our practice might be akin to our ancestors' travel with the cloud. We just set a time that we are going to not do anything else, but pay attention. Pay attention to the cloud, how we are experiencing it in the moment. What is true about the sensations in your body just right now? You might feel the air kissing your body, whether it's air conditioning, humidity, a chill. How do you feel the air on your skin? How are you encountering the air around you? Can you soften just a bit to feel the air touching you and your porous skin? Noting if there's any pleasant sensation or unpleasant sensation, or even neutral. Just noticing how your body is interacting with the air around it. And then if it's comfortable for you, I invite you to notice the air coming inside and leaving our bodies through the breath. The inhale, bringing the breath inside, cycling it through the body, allowing the part of the air we're no longer using back into that atmosphere. Noticing the truth of the breath in this moment, not needing to change it in any way, just noticing that it's there. And while we are here in our cloud together, I'd like to invite you to choose the sensations in your body, the cycle of your breath, as a focus for your practice. And for a few moments, we're just going to sit with our attention trained on our bodies, on our breath, as the cloud that lets us know we are not moving. We are staying right here. Nothing else is to be done but to stay with the anane kavod, the clouds of presence, to be in the presence of the divine. Noticing the truth of our bodies, focusing either on the sensations of the body or the breath. And towards the end of our practice, I'm going to share another midrash with you, another Jewish story, but feel free to continue practicing while I speak. We'll practice. As you're practicing, I'd like to share with you the Mechilta B'Shalach that says, not just one cloud of glory accompanied the traveling Israelites, but 7, one at each of their 4 sides, one above them, one beneath them, and one out in front to lead the way. This last cloud, while advancing before the people, raised the lowlands and lowered the hills, turning them into level ground. In addition, it swept and sprinkled the road ahead of them to make their walking easier. It also killed snakes and scorpions along the way and maintained the Israelites' clothes, keeping them fresh and clean. I'd like you to invite you to imagine 7 clouds surrounding you, supporting you, even now in this moment, guiding you all around, each direction, above, below, moving you forward consciously, conscientiously. What does that cloud in front know about the path ahead? What does it see about your path? What are the obstacles? What are the opportunities? What does the cloud know? And what might it tell you if you listen? Elna Rifana la Elna Rifana la Elna Rifana la Refuah May the clouds, Anani, my cloud, be my Aneni, God's presence and answer to move us forward.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Dorothy Richman, guiding us so beautifully, helping us feel held and enveloped in the love of those clouds of glory. Friends, let's seal that beautiful practice as we do each day. Anyone who's in mourning or observing a yard site, or if it's your custom to join in the mourner's Kaddish, you're invited to do so. And if you're not reciting Kaddish, please offer your support and loving presence for those who are for a few moments. Thanks to Natalie for sharing the words of the mourner's Kaddish on the screen. If you're reciting Kaddish, you can put the name or names of those you're honoring today in the chat now or after we recite Kaddish. If you're joining me, please rise in body or in spirit, and you can unmute at this time. Yitgadal.
Shmei Rabba, Adibra Kibute, Lichute, Hayachon, Umechon, Edom, Yisrael, Man Guvrim Bimeu, Shmei Rabba Miborach, Almayim, Barak v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitman v'yitmashech, Dar v'yitalei v'yitalal, Yidb'yishah, Elam v'yoda shirata v'shirata, Ushbivata v'niv'mata damiran v'ama v'yimru v'nam, Shalom Rabba Shemayim v'chafim aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'shalom. Aseh shalom v'bracha, Priya aseh shalom aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'yachol Yisrael Tobel v'yimru. Amen.
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 Friends, thanks so much for joining us today for our practice. I want to thank our teacher today, Rabbi Dorothy Richman, and thank Natalie Rushinoff for holding our tech space and each of you for being here. We have just a beautiful lineup of teachers this week, building off of this really amazing practice today. Cantor Carrot Spencer Shapiro will be leading us tomorrow, Rabbi Jenny Solomon on Wednesday, Rabbi Joshua Bodiger joining us on Thursday, and Rabbi Genevieve Greinitz will lead us to sit into Shabbat on Friday. So pretty good group of teachers for this week. Very excited and hope you'll join us for any or all of the sets this week. And of course, as always, they're recorded and the recordings are posted on our YouTube channel. So if you miss any and would like to practice at another point in your day, you're always have the opportunity to do so. We hope you stay on. You can continue to sit with the clouds. You can just turn the sound on your computer off and join us. Use this time and space. You can continue your own practice, or you can join us for conversation with our teacher today. And if you have a question you'd like to ask, you can put that in the chat. Just preface it by writing question all in caps. And as always, please feel free just to share anything about that came up for you or about your experience with today's practice. As always, Dorothy, thanks a million. It's wonderful practice today. And you tell me if I think that we have a phrase in the sacred literature of Ananek Hakavod, about clouds of glory. I don't think the Torah refers to the clouds that way. It just calls it the cloud. I think. I'm not sure. Maybe someone else here might know as well. But I was thinking about that. I've been thinking a lot about kavod since our celebration of 5 years of the sit. Was that last week? Thinking a lot about kavod, and about kavod is kind of this palpable sense of divine presence that the clouds represent, as you were describing it about. And then that midrash, wow, incredible midrash about clouds enveloping us on all sides, above and below. I mean, it's evocative of the angel prayer of, Michael and Gabriel and Raphael and Uriel and Shekhinah above, but I don't think it has one below. This one we're fully covered with the clouds on all sides, and then the additional cloud that is leading the way. Anyway, all this leads, I think it was just like so great to sit with that sense of mystery and comfort and being held in that. But the part that I want to ask you about was where you landed, where we landed about that there's a cloud that kind of knows the direction, right? And if anyone thinks that the Torah is meant to be taken literally, it seems to me like this is a passage. It's like, like I don't it's not, whether there's a literal cloud or not. It really is very clear. This represents some palpable sense. Call it the universe, call it God, call it divine, whatever you want. That's in the universe that kind of has this flow, and this has to do with being able to not only discern the flow, but be able and willing to go with the flow. And the thing about the passage from the Torah that is so incredible is that whether it was, I don't know if it says days or months, but even if it was years, they didn't move. Imagine that. Like sometimes there are times when it could take years, before it's the right moment to move. So I just want to invite you to say a little bit more about that, about how, we each can, the blessing that you landed us with at the end of the set about, I think people who engage in spiritual direction, and for people familiar with spiritual direction, I think that's kind of very similar to what this is about intuiting when it's time to move and how to move, and to recognize that we're not moving, we're just kind of being guided along and trying to go with that sense of something deeper that knows where we're meant to go.
Thank you for that. I think, I'm still a little stuck in our Netzach Hod of the Omer,
Mm,
right? Like, on one hand, there's this sense that we need to move. Like, we're
hmm
not staying in the desert.
Right.
Like, that's not our place. And so it's not a full passivity. And for me, I love the angel prayers, the directions. Honestly, I was thinking also of lulav,
Yeah.
right? And
hmm
shaking the four species, right? And all of the directions, and up and below and forward, right? And for me, that might be the continuum, right? The very Netzach kind of energy of I'm going to go out there, I've got a goal, I'm going to shake in all of these directions, I'm going to move the energy around, right? Versus I can't move unless you tell me to move.
hmm
It's like red light, green light. It's like Mother May I. It's like with these games that we practice, you
hmm
know, like I can't go until I get a sign.
Simon Says.
Yes, all of them, right? And what are they if not like teaching games to say, like you have to sometimes wait. You can't just do it. You can't just do it,
hmm
That and so I think that the skillfulness is that negotiation of the continuum, because you need to move, but you need to move consciously, strategically, or I would say, according to here, aligned with the will of God.
Right.
Like, of course, the question is, yeah, but how do I know? And I want to just appreciate, I saw a couple of people who thought like I did of Joni Mitchell, of course.
Yeah.
And that's why to me the cloud is such a fabulous sign, because it is mysterious, but it's also completely not mysterious.
hmm
Like, we're in
Palpable.
it. Like,
Right.
we have experience of it. And sometimes, and this is for all of the Jewish mystics, right? Sometimes the cloud makes it impossible to see. And sometimes the cloud allows you to see because you couldn't see the light without its mediation,
Mm.
right? And so, how do you read the clouds? I'm not sure. If anything, I find not specific guidance about move this way or move forward, but I do feel like reading these travel, suggestions from God for our ancestors gives me a little bit more um, encouragement and support to leave a little room to listen. Is this plan that I've made the right plan? Am I just pushing on something too hard now, which is actually I'm getting all kinds of information like I should not do this? Like, am I just trying to, shake my lulav in all the directions and break through, or should I just wait for a minute and reconsider my path? Like, should I
Yeah.
just wait for a moment and allow my plans not to be the plan?
But let's stay with that. Elon, thanks to Elon for making the connection. Also, another Sukkot connection is that the Sukkah itself represents the cloud of glory that accompanied them. So there is a real Sukkot motif here. And also, I was really glad that were reminding us that of coming out of the Omer, and you mentioned Netzach and Hod, which are kind of like the green light, red light, right? That we have. To go back to where you just ended about like, is it time to go? Is it not time to go? Is this Netzach time or is this Hod time of sit still? Which goes to Sarah's question in the chat about is this about staying still until we can relax into trust and faith and allow ourselves to be guided to know when to go, so that it's kind of we're aligning our will with the deeper will that has a sense about where we should be going. But we landed in the Omer with Malchut, which is that, I think exactly what we did today was like, to me, this was a real Malchut practice of presence, of experiencing palpable presence, Shekhinah, and that those clouds represent Shekhinah, guiding and holding us, and has not just, and not neutrally either, like, with love. Like it could be cold and clammy in the cloud, I guess, right? But you're inviting us to experiences that is gentle and warm and supportive and nurturing by feeling the air, the temperature of the air against our face. This is a loving cloud. It's not kind of like, I'm going to like now I'm going to confuse you and put you in a cloud. Sarah's question was, when we're in our lives, when we feel like we're lost, like a cloud has descended upon us, which sounds like a negative, right? Oh no, a cloud has descended on us. Um, Here, this is reframing the cloud has descended on us to say like, oh, this is really, I am immersed in the process of discerning when and how to go. And I have help in that process. I'm not left to my own devices. I'm not on my own. She wrote, because we feel desolate because we can't see the way forward, or be seen by others. Are we supposed to stay still until the cloud lifts? Is this about staying still until we relax into trust or faith? So there's a question mark at the end of that. I would
I
say,
think I'm always teaching about trust and faith. I think that's just where that's what I'm interested in.
mhm,
And I think that the cloud is such an interesting symbol for this because I see this as like the people in the desert are toddlers. They're just learning to walk, right? And they've got the Torah now. And the Torah, of course, was given in clouds and in storm, and clouds can also be storm, right?
mhm,
And so we're learning that presence doesn't always look one way. Presence can be a storm,
mhm,
right? And it can be the beautiful white fluffy clouds, on a blue sky day,
mhm,
right? That that it's not one thing to trust into. Um, but to me, kind of the beauty of this image, it has so many different possibilities of the completely physical and true and real, and also completely mysterious and ethereal and transitioning always.
mhm,
But to me, the cloud says, whether it's moving or whether it's stationary, whether it looks like a pillar of a cloud or whether it looks like fire, the constant message is, I'm accompanying you
you're not alone,
here.
right?
Yes. And that very accompanying is the travel, is the purpose, right? Wherever we go, if we don't go with the cloud, then we're just, you know, moving,
Mhm,
but we're not journeying, right? Our journey, we're not in our mission. And so I think that's one of the things as we grow into adulthood, we are trying to figure out what is my journey, right? And then we discover that we keep having it's not a one and done.
right.
It's a constant dynamic journey, which is sometimes so difficult. And sometimes in the storm cloud of it all, you may not want a storm, right? And yet, knowing that you are accompanied, that the storm is actually part of the accompaniment.
Mhm.
There's a great Rabbi Nachman Torah on how the cloud can be a hindrance, and that even the hindrances are sent to us as part of our journeys, right? And so if the cloud's there, if you're with the cloud, then you're on the journey,
Yeah.
whether you're moving or stationary. And if the cloud is not there, whether you're moving or stationary, you are not on the journey.
All right. Well, we're at time, Dorothy. This is this is the connections are like really popping, and there's just so much beautiful. Please want to encourage people to save the chat. If you don't know how to do that, you can do that clicking on the three dots where it says in the chat box, and then you can save it. It's so many beautiful observations there. So I want to thank you for bringing the Torah of the Bay Area to us today. It was really like what could be better than the fog, the clouds. Thanks for bringing that, the wisdom of that to us today, and this Parsha B'halotcha, as we're on this collective journey here ourselves through a lot of storms, including the current one. Um, Thanks for helping us remember that we're not alone in it and that we're supported and held along the way. And we'll look forward to continuing the journey tomorrow with Karen Spencer Shapiro, everybody. Thank you, Dorothy. Thanks, Natalie. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Many blessings. See you tomorrow.